morning. Namaste to each of you. Thank you for joining me this morning to honor your mind and your body and your spirit. Let's just take a moment to become present and sit nice and tall, either on a cushion or a towel, something that will elongate your spine and the back of your neck so it'll open up your chest and open up your diaphragm and open up your heart. You can gently close your eyes and soften your thoughts. Soften your eyes. Soften your shoulders. And soften your heart. Observe your breath as it is, soft and gentle, breathing life into you with each inhale and relaxation with each exhale. Feel the grace of being present, returning to that awareness again and again. You may open your eyes now. For this morning's intention, you may think of a positive word or phrase to have with you on your mat and perhaps carry with you throughout the day. This morning's intention I'd like to talk about is Brahmacharya. So as we've been talking about, the first limb of the 8 limbs of yoga by Patanjali is the Yamas. And those are guidelines how to interact with the world. There are 5 yamas, the 4th being Brahmacharya. And Brahmacharya has actually evolved throughout the hundreds of years. Its original meaning was celibacy. And basically that was not just celibacy, but just don't be crazy in the sex department, just come in moderation. And then in more recent times, that kind of has been interpreted as non-excess. So kind of the same idea. But now, and this is fairly recent, the interpretation is now called proper use of energy, which I think really is nice. They all have that common thread of finding the balance between overdoing and underdoing. So, for example, 100 years ago, people's energies were regulated by daytime and nighttime and the rhythm of the seasons. That helped them to balance rest and activity. Now we live in a much different world where it's so easy to overdo because we have constant light, we have constant stimulus. Seasons are almost irrelevant these days. There's activities going on all the time. So Brahmacharya, we tune into Brahmacharya's guideline. It asks us to use our energy wisely and to work and play and to be active and rest. It's that balance that we're looking for. So for this morning's pranayama, breathing technique, I thought one of my favorite ones would be appropriate, the Vritti, which is equal length breathing. And let's just start in a moment to observe your own natural breath. And I was doing that this morning on my walk, and I have a clear way that my natural breath is. And I'm going to just pause for a moment and let you breathe and just observe if your inhale is a lot shorter than your exhale, or vice versa. Maybe your exhale is a lot shorter than your inhale. Well, my inhale is pretty full. It goes from my stomach on up through my rib cage on up to my chest. But the exhale just seems to kind of get stuck right in the ribs. So that means that there's a lot more inhale than exhale, which can tend to keep your system in a fight or flight mode. What you would want to do is try to bring that exhale all the way back down to your stomach, so you're fully relaxing. As I say, each practice we start off as like observe your breath. Exhale is for relaxation. So with that Vritti technique, what we do is have a count, and you really work on making sure that your inhale is the same count as your exhale. So I'm going to start with 4, and then I'm going to stop counting, and I'm going to let you find your own count that is more natural for you if 4 doesn't work. And this will help to calm and balance our breath and our system. So let's on the inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. And continue finding your own count that works for a nice even flow for you. And come back to your natural breath. And then we can segue into our meditation, and you can use that breath during your meditation, or whatever is comfortable for you to do your meditation. I have a mudra that is specifically for balance. It directs the breath, the awareness, and energy to the entire body to balance the body and mind physically and energetically. And it's called Hakini. It's Hakini Mudra, Hakini. And to do that, you bring your fingertips together as if you're grabbing a ball. Your fingertips actually wrap around the ball and join. So it's this almost kind of like a cage as well. But just pretend you're grabbing a ball, bringing your fingertips together. And then you would bring that mudra down to your solar plexus area, your midsection. So let's just take a few moments to meditate. Again, you can continue on with that Vritti breath. Incorporate the Hakini Mudra. And we'll just take a few moments to do that. may open your eyes and relax. We'll start our asana practice this morning with just a few head nods and turns. Just kind of loosen up our upper shoulders and neck. So gently send your gaze down to the mat, down to your feet, and then send your gaze up just above the tree line. And then back down again on the exhale. Nice even flow. Inhale, come back up. Sending your gaze up to the sky, just above the trees. And then exhale back down. Inhale back up. And return to a natural position. Spine's nice and long, neck's nice and long. We'll turn our head to the left. Just gently bring it to the shoulder. Maybe looking over the shoulder. No strain here, just kind of relaxing, kind of loosening things up. And then come back to center. Inhale to the right. I mentioned last week when we were doing these, I can hear this kind of granular movement in my neck with the coming back. And it actually feels good. We come back to center. And then over to the left. I just feel things are loosening up, kind of like paved road, kind of breaking up. And then back to center. And then one last time over to the right. And then back to center. We'll do a few shoulder shrugs, so gently lifting your shoulders toward your ears, bringing them toward the back of the mat and down toward the mat. And then forward and up toward the ears, just nice, gentle, relaxing circles. You could synchronize your breath with the movement. Inhale when you're lifting your shoulders up, and exhale when you're lifting them down, or not lifting them down. It's not lowering them. And then up again. And down. And then let's switch directions. Again, trying to keep it nice and relaxed. Just kind of loosening up the shoulders. We do quite a bit with our arms today. And bringing them and exercising our shoulders. So let's just take a moment to loosen that up. Okay, let's bring our fingertips to the mat. Inhaling, and you can practice your Vritti breath doing this too. So make a count, lifting your hands up, inhaling as you go. And then see if you can match that count on the exhale, lowering your hands back down to the mat. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. And inhale up, and when you come up, we're going to just pause at the top and then twist our torso to the left, bring our right hand down to the left knee rather, and left hand right behind the hips, twisting our torso to the left. A nice inhale and exhale. And then sweep our hands up and over and twist our torso to the right, bringing the left hand down on the right kneecap, the right hand behind our hips. Big inhale and exhale. Lift, sweep our hands up and over again, twisting our torso to the left, bringing the right hand down on the left knee, left hand behind the hip. Big inhale and exhale. And then stay here for a moment, and lifting your left hand, which is behind your hip. Bring that left hand, sweep it over and bring it over to your right knee. So your arms are crossed in front of you. And then we're going to do eagle arms. This is why we wanted to do our shoulder rolls. So we're going to bring the backs of our hands together. And if you would like and can, you could bring the palms of your hands together. And then just gently lift your elbows up so they're about shoulder height. And take a few deep breaths here. And then release your arms. And we'll go back to doing some sun breaths. So inhaling, sweeping our hands up. Maybe find that rhythm again for a count of equal inhales and equal exhales. Bringing your hands back down to the mat on the exhale. Inhale up. And exhale down. Inhale up. And exhale down. And inhale up and bringing the hands up overhead. We'll pause and then twist the torso to the left. Bring the left hand down on the right kneecap, right hand behind your hips, twisting your torso to the right. Deep inhale and exhale. And then sweeping our hands up and over. We're going to turn our torso to the left, bringing our right hand down on the left kneecap, left hand behind our hips. Deep inhale and deep exhale. And one last sweep of our hands up and over, twisting our torso to the right, bringing our left hand down, right hand behind our hips. Big inhale and exhale. And keeping our left hand where it is on our kneecap, we're going to bring our right hand over, sweeping it over and placing it on our left kneecap. And crossing our arms in front of us in the, now your right arm's over your left, and it was the opposite way before. So we're going to bring the backs of our hands together. And if you can, bring the palms of your hands together. And then we're going to bring the elbows up to shoulder height and take 3 deep inhales and exhales. And then release your hands. We're going to roll down on the mat. You could choose the way you'd like to roll down, either knees bent or knees straight. Just trying to make contact with your vertebrae as you go down, one vertebra at a time. Coming into mountain pose. We'll flex our feet, toes pointing up to the sky. And slide your inner right sole, the right foot, up your left inner leg to the point where it reaches your left kneecap and your legs are in a figure 4. Then we'll take our right ankle and place it on top of our left leg, right above the kneecap. And then bring our left leg up, come into reclined pigeon, flexing both toes up to the sky. And today we're going to wrap our hands around the back of our thigh and gently guide that left leg toward our chest. And you can use your right elbow to kind of keep your right knee pointing to the right side of the mat. And just breathe into this pose. And then we're going to release our hands and bring our right leg and cross it over the left, as if we were sitting in a chair with our legs crossed. And this can be part of your eagle legs. You can have your legs side by side, or if you're inclined, you can take your right toes and wrap them around the back of the left leg, around where the calf is, and really kind of come into that pretzel pose that eagle legs is, eagle arms as well. And just take a deep breath here. Inhaling and exhaling. And then release. And you bring both knees to your chest and give them a nice hug. And then slide them all the way back down to the mat, coming into reclined mountain pose. Toes are flexed, pointing up to the sky. And then we'll slide our left foot, the sole of our left foot, along the inner part of our right leg till it reaches our knee and our legs become a figure four. Then bringing the left ankle, placing it on top of the right leg, just above the kneecap. And then lifting your right leg up so it's at a 90-degree angle. Your knee and your hip, knee, and foot are at 90 degrees. Toes are pointing up to the sky. And we're going to interlace our fingers behind our right thigh and gently guide that right thigh toward our chest. And with your left elbow, you can kind of use that as a leverage on your left leg, keeping your knee pointing to the left side of the mat. Take a couple deep inhales and exhales. And on that exhale, just relax into that pose. And then release the hands, and we'll slide our left leg, crossing it over the right, coming into that seated position where our legs are crossed. And again, this may be your eagle legs, where they're side by side. Or if you want, you could tuck your left toe under your right calf. And just again, take a nice deep inhale and exhale. And then release. Bring your knees to your chest and give them a nice gentle hug. And then we'll tuck our hands underneath our knees and roll up to seated position. So you can take as many times to roll as you like. Maybe just like rolling makes your spine feel good, or it takes a few rolls to get up to a seated position. And once you're in the seated position, you can just bring your hands forward to the mat and bring your hips up and come into tabletop. Tabletop with our wrists right below our shoulders, knees right below our hips, navels tucked to the spine. Fingers are splayed apart, gripping the mat, pushing down just to create a little bit of space or a lot of space between your ears and your shoulders. And then we'll do a few cat-cows. So on the exhale, rounding our back, dropping our head and tailbone down for cat. Nice stretch. And then inhale, lifting our head up and tailbone up for cow. Exhaling, rounding the back, dropping the head and tailbone down for cat. Inhale, lifting the head and tailbone up for cow. And then just continue at your own pace, synchronizing your breath to your movement. Nice balanced flow. And then we'll come back to a neutral spine. Bringing our knees together so that they're touching underneath our hips. We're going to extend then the right foot out, placing the ball of the foot on the mat and just gently pushing the heel to the back of the mat, giving that leg a nice stretch. And we're going to bring the right leg, cross it over the left, bringing the right toes outside the mat, diagonally outside to the left, and then gently turning our head to look back at our right foot. And then we'll bring our head back to center and not bring our leg back quite yet. We're going to take the right leg and bring the right knee to the outside or close to the outside of the left knee. So it's going to be kind of seated in back of the left knee, but it's coming down to the mat. Going to take our left foot, bring it over to the right, take our right foot, bring it over to the left, and then we're going to walk our hands back. And you can judge for yourself how far back you want to walk. If it gets a little bit too tense in your hip section, you can just stop right there. Just monitor your breath and see where it's nice and continues to flow. And if you can come all the way back and sit down. And this is for cow-faced legs. That's a great hip opener. And then we're going to bring our hands back down to the mat and walk them back up. Come back to tabletop. We'll do that on the other side. So we're going to do a few cat-cows first. Just kind of, again, loosen up our spine. Inhaling and exhaling, synchronizing our movements to our breath. And then come to a flat back, tabletop. Knees come together. And extend your left foot back so the ball of your left foot lands on the mat and you're able to push your heel toward the back of the mat, stretching out that lower part of the leg. And then we'll bring the left foot over to the right, bringing it outside the mat, keeping our hands firmly into the mat, pushing down so that we still create that space between our shoulder and our ears. We turn our head and look at our left foot. And then bring your head back to center. And then bring your left knee up and place it on the mat, kind of diagonally behind your right knee. You're going to take both feet and kind of move them over to each side. So the right foot goes to the left foot goes to the right. Kind of making a bow tie, I think. And then we're going to walk our hands back. Again, judge for yourself what is a good spot for you to land. Maybe it's on the mat, maybe it's before you get there. And the cow face legs. And then bring our hands back to the mat and walk back up. Back to tabletop. Tuck our toes under and walk our hands back so that we come onto the balls of our feet into a squat position. And then pushing down the balls of our feet, come up to mountain pose. And we'll go through mountain pose, which is also the essentials of good posture. First, let's just lift our toes up off the mat, spread them as far apart as you can, bringing them back down to the mat, lifting the heels off the mat, and then lowering the heels down. So you just feel that nice grounded feeling that mountain pose has. And then our legs are nice and straight and strong, knees are gently bent, navel's tucked to our spine. Our spine is nice and long and tall. Shoulders are relaxed and rolled back. Chin is slightly tucked toward the chest, maybe push back a little bit. And then the crown of our head reaches up to the sky. And sweep our hands up overhead with a big inhale. And then we're going to exhale, bringing our hands down to the mat, bending our knees as we go, support our lower back. And just briefly check in here. Things are going nicely here. And then we're going to just bring our hands to our shins, flattening out our spine, nice straight spine, sending our gaze down for half forward fold, and then dropping the crown of our head down toward the mat and letting gravity take over for a moment. And just hanging here, feeling the natural stretch that gravity does. And then sweeping our hands all the way up overhead. We'll come up onto our tippy toes. And then we're going to slowly bring our hands back down as we slowly lower our heels back down to the mat. We'll do a few more of these. So sweeping up and slowly coming up onto our tippy toes. Big inhale. And exhale. Bringing our hands down, bringing our heels down. And one last time, inhale, sweep your hands up, slowly coming up onto your tippy toes. And then lowering your hands down, slowly lowering back to your heels. And keep your hands going, bending your knees as you go, bringing them all the way down to the mat. Inhale, lift your hands to your shins, flatten out your back, send your gaze down for half forward fold, dropping the crown of your head down toward the mat, and then sweeping your hands all the way up overhead. Palms come together. We'll do a few side stretches, so dropping your right hand to your right thigh, letting it slide down toward your right knee, creating that nice crescent shape of your upper body. And then inhale, sweeping your hand back up overhead, palms come together. Then the left hand comes down, left hand to the thigh, slide it down toward your left knee, creating a nice crescent shape to the left. Inhale, come back up. We'll do that one more time on each side. dropping the right hand down, sliding it toward our knee, and then come back up, and dropping the left hand down, and sliding it down toward our knee. Nice crescent shape. And then coming back up. Hands come together, and then hands come down to the mat, bending our knees as we go. Inhale, come back up, half forward fold, flat back, gaze is down, half forward fold. Really, you can keep your hands on your shins, or a lot of people have them on the mat, or even sliding them all the way up to the tops of your thighs. Creates a nice stretch in that spine. So then we're going to drop the crown of our head down, and then sweep our hands all the way up overhead. And we'll come into a few chair poses. So with our arms overhead, we're going to lower them down in front of us. And as we lower them, we're going to bend our knees, dropping our hips down toward the mat. And just take note of where your knees are. They should be behind your toes, not extending forward of your toes. And just really, stick out your tailbone there as if you're about to sit in a chair. And then we'll come back up, arms overhead. We'll do this 2 more times. So slowly lower your arms down, dropping your hips down toward the mat, bending your knees, but keeping your knees behind your big toes, so you can always see your big toes. Maybe drop a little further down, and then come back up again. And one last time, lowering down, coming into that seated position, really feeling the strength of your legs. And then come back up again. And then bring our hands all the way down to the mat, bending our knees as we go. Forward fold. Inhale, half forward fold. Really straightening out that spine, giving it a nice long stretch. And dropping the crown of our head down to the mat. Inhale, sweeping our hands all the way up overhead. Palms come together. Palms come to heart center. And then palms come to the back of our hips. Our feet are about hip width apart. And our shoulders are relaxed and rolled back. We tuck our chin toward our chest. And just let our shoulders drop back for supported back bend. And just find, again, that sweet spot where your breath is nice and balanced. Nice inhale and exhale, even flows. And then inhale, come back up. And we'll continue on. I bet you all know what's coming in terms of the peak pose today, but we'll get there in a moment. So sweeping our hands up overhead, and then exhale, bringing our hands down to the mat, bending our knees as we go. We're going to extend our right leg back to the back of the mat, coming into runner's lunge. And place the right hand down on the mat, and take the left hand and sweep it up to the sky, twisting our torso, sending our gaze up with our hand, keeping that back leg nice and straight and strong. And bringing our left hand back down to the mat. We're going to bring our right knee down to the mat, the top of our right foot down to the mat. And we'll do a low lunge. So we're going to sweep both hands up to the sky, pushing down in the front foot. And then bring our hands down. And as we bring them down, we bring both hands down to the right side of the foot. So we'll come into lizard pose. So lizard, you can either have your knee on the mat, or if it's more comfortable, you can lift your knee up off the mat, and you can stay here. Or if you like, maybe lowering the knee to the mat, and then lowering your elbows to the mat, looking for just a nice stretch of your leg, of your hips. And then come back up on your hands if you're not there already. Tuck your right foot under, coming back, lifting your back leg up. And we're gonna walk our hands to the long side of the mat. And our toes are gonna point toward the corners. Heels are tucked in. Bend our knees, bringing our hands to our hips, and then come upright into a wide-legged stance. And we're going to sweep our hands up into a star shape. And then we're going to come down in goddess, but instead of making goalposts with our arms, we're going to cross them in front of us. So we're going to bring the right arm down below the left, as we lower our hips toward the mat, bending our knees, and create eagle arms. And then we're going to go back up to star, releasing our arms, extending our legs straight, gentle bend in the knee. And then again, coming down, bending our knees, lowering our hips to the mat, bring our right arm underneath our left arm. And then either the backs of your hands come together or the palms of your hands come together. And then lifting back up, back to star. And one last time, bending your knees, lowering your hips, bringing your right arm under your left arm, coming into eagle arms. And then back up to star. Then we'll pivot our feet to the left and bend our knee, coming into warrior two. Left knee's right over your ankle. Back foot's nice and snug. Your chest is open to the long side of the mat. And slowly turn your head and your gaze to your left fingertips. And then dropping your right arm down, lifting your left hand up, come into reverse warrior. And then bringing your left forearm down to your left thigh. And we come into side, extended side angle. And this one, we're going to sweep our right arm all the way over and have it point to the front of the mat. So you have that nice line of energy from your toes straight up through to your fingertips. And then slowly lower your right hand to the mat, pivot, come back into runner's lunge, and then bring your left foot back to come into plank pose. So our shoulders are right above our wrists, navel's tucked to the spine, elevating our hips, and then slowly lower either knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga to the mat, keeping your elbows tucked to the side, and then gently lifting the chin, chest up into cobra. And then keep pushing up to tabletop, and then lowering your hips down to child's pose. Take a few nice deep breaths here. Relax the body. This is Brahmacharya, that has that balance thing. It's like you did some effort and now you relax a little. So throughout your practice, you should be exerting effort and then counteracting that with some relaxation. Don't overdo, don't underdo. And then back up to tabletop, tucking your toes under and lift our hips up into downward dog and pedal out here for a moment. And then slowly walk our feet up to our hands, coming into a forward fold. And then sweeping our hands all the way up overhead. Palms come together, palms come to heart center, and we'll go into eagle pose. Eagle pose is what I consider the most pretzely of the poses that I think we should do. It's a balanced pose. It exemplifies overdoing and underdoing because you're doing this over and under thing. So let's start with our left leg planted on the mat and just bring your right foot over, landing your toes on the mat. Or if you have a block and that works for you, you can place them on a block. So toes are on the mat or on a block. And we're going to bring our right arm underneath our left arm and make our eagle arms, whatever version is comfortable for you. And then we'll slowly lower our hips down to the mat, lifting our right foot off the mat. And if you're able to wrap it around your leg, that's fine. Or just let it sit side by side. And lifting your elbows up toward your shoulder height as you come down. And then release. And we'll do that all on the other side. So sweeping our hands up overhead, big inhale. And exhale, bring your hands down to the mat. And then we're going to extend our left leg back, coming into runner's lunge. Planting our left hand down. We'll sweep our right hand all the way up to the sky, following our hand with our gaze. And then bringing our right hand back down. We're going to bring our left knee down to the mat, top of our left foot down to the mat. And sweep both hands up to the sky, pushing down in our front foot. And then bring both hands down, but bring them down on the inner part of your right foot. So both hands are on the left side of your foot. And coming into lizard pose. In your lizard pose, make it what you'd like. You can either stay here, knee down and on your hands, or lift your knee up, keep it on your hands, or bring your knee back down and bring your elbows down to the mat. And then bring your hands back. We'll come back to runner's lunge. And we're going to walk our hands to the left, to the long side of the mat, coming into a wide-legged stance. Our toes are pointed to the corners of the mat. And then we're going to bend our knees slightly, bring our hands to our hips, and then come up to an upright position, wide-legged stance. I will turn around. And we'll do that star goddess with the eagle arms on the side. So we'll sweep our arms up to star. This time we're going to lower our left arm first so that we have our left arm under our right arm, and then lower our knees, coming into that goddess pose. And then come back up to star. Big inhale, exhale, coming back, lowering our hips down toward the mat, bending our knees. Left arm is under our right arm. And then back up to star. Yay! And then one more time, we're going to bend our knees, lowering our hips. Left arm goes under our right arm. Backs of our hands together or palms, if you can. Keep lowering. And then back up to star. Then pivot our feet to the right and come into warrior two. What's that mean? On the other side. So our knees right over our ankle, back foot's against the edge of the mat. Chest is open to the long side of the mat. Gently turn your head to look at your right fingertips. And then dropping your left hand down, raising your right hand up, following it with your eyes, come into reverse warrior. And then we'll bring that right forearm down, back down, bringing it onto our right thigh, sweeping our left hand overhead, and then have it point to the front of the mat, create that nice long line of energy. And then bringing the left hand down to the mat, pivoting, coming into runner's lunge. We'll bring the right foot back, coming into plank pose. And then slowly lowering knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga. And then keeping your fingertips under your shoulders, lifting your chin, your chest, and gently pushing down, coming into cobra. And then keep pushing, coming to tabletop, and then lowering your hips down to child's pose. And inhale, come back up to tabletop. Tuck your toes under, lifting your hips up to downward dog. Pedal out here for a moment. Take a few deep breaths. And then slowly walk your feet up to your hands, coming into forward fold. Then sweeping your hands all the way up overhead. Palms come together, palms come to heart center. And then we'll do eagle pose on the other side. So planting your right foot down, and just bring your left toe and just have your toe on the mat and feel that balance and get oriented into that balance. And then we're going to bring our left arm under our right arm. Backs of the palms, our hands come together, whoops, or the front of the palms come together. And then we're just lowering our hips as we go. Then lifting our elbows up toward our shoulder height. And then release. Well done, everyone. And then we'll take our pinky toes, bring them to the edges of the mat, tucking our heels in, and bringing our hands to our heart center. We'll slowly lower our hips down toward the mat, bringing our torso between our legs, our elbows resting on the inner part of our knees, sending our hands, continuing their journey down toward the mat, really feeling that nice stretch. And then we'll bring our sit bones to the mat. And we can roll down to the mat. This time I like to use express method. So I'm going to tuck my hands under my knees and just roll on my back onto the mat. Give my knees a nice hug. Maybe rock back and forth to massage the lower back. Maybe make some nice big circles with your feet. And then we're going to take our interlaced fingers and bring them behind our head, sending our thumbs along the sides of our neck, pointing down toward our shoulders. And those interlaced fingers are going to provide like a hammock for our head. They're not going to be actively pulling and pushing. They're just going to support the weight of our head. And we're going to just move our chin and chest upward and then back down, keeping our elbows pointed directly out to each side. Inhale, lift up, and then back down. Inhale, lift up. And again, your head is just gently being supported by your hands. Your hands aren't pulling your head up. Then inhale, lift up. And exhale down. And if you like, you can take a little bit more movement by extending one leg at a time as you lift up. And then bringing it back as you lower down. Inhale, lift up, extend one leg out, and then back. We'll do that a few more times, extending the leg out as you lift up, and then down. Again, keeping those elbows straight out to the side, lifting up, and then back down. One more time on each side, lifting up, and then back down. And left leg extends up and back down. Then releasing your hands from behind your head, extend your arms out shoulder height. We'll do a reclining twist. So with your knees tucked to the chest, we're just going to drop the knees to the right on the exhale, lowering to the right. And then gently turning your head, looking to the left, with your left fingertips. And then gently bringing your head back to center, lifting your legs back up to center. On the exhale, lowering your legs to the left. And then gently turning your head to the right to look at your right fingertips. Then inhaling, lifting your head back to center again, lifting your legs back to center. And extend your legs to the bottom of the mat and prepare for Shavasana. Bringing the heels to the corners of the mat, allowing your feet just to flop open, bringing your arms diagonally to your sides, with the palms facing up. Just getting your shoulders nice and snug in the mat. And then taking a few deep inhales and perhaps exhales through your mouth. Again, trying to make it an equal length for each inhale and exhale. Just gently relax your body on the exhale. The poem I have for you this morning is titled My November Guest by Robert Frost. My sorrow, when she's here with me, thinks these dark days of autumn rain are beautiful as days can be. She loves the bare, the withered tree. She walks the sodden pasture lane. Her pleasure will not let me stay. She talks, and I am fain to list. She's glad the birds are gone away. She's glad her simple worsted gray is silver now with clinging mist. The desolate, deserted trees, the faded earth, the heavy sky, the beauties she so truly sees. She thinks I have no eye for these and vexes me for reason why. Not yesterday I learned to know the love of bare November days before the coming of the snow, but it were vain to tell her so, and they are better for her praise.